And I want to introduce now, we're going to get Hassani and Danielle on board. And I want everybody to get your notepads because I'm sure they're going to have some wisdom to drop on us. So I want to welcome Hassani and Danielle. Are you there? Reveal yourselves. Reveal yourselves, guys. Yeah. You're here. Danielle, I'm only seeing kind of half of your face. You need to scoot over a little bit. Yes, wonderful, wonderful. Hey, there we go. We have the couple.
Yes.
We have the couple who are officially running Couples Academy. And we love you guys. We appreciate all that you're doing for people's lives, to help them out, to be a blessing, to try and lead them in the right direction in terms of wisdom and information, inspiration, revelation for transformation, helping people push forward with their relationships and their marriages. And what a crazy, crazy time we are having on planet Earth right now. We're so used to seeing craziness in some part of the world, but not in the entire world. And I think that's what makes this a completely different experience for everybody, is the fact that everybody's trying to navigate this. We're used to watching stuff like this happen on TV or on a movie, or while we're fortunate and blessed enough to be ensconced in the luxurious atmospheres of the Western world, we're realizing now that stuff that we used to watch on the news can affect us too, because we are all human. Yes. We're all God's creation. We're all human. And this kind of crazy stuff can affect anybody. So, guys, I want to welcome you. And I know you guys are in quarantine as well. Tell us what that's been like. Give me a 30-second word or 30-second statement concerning quarantine in Atlanta, in the States.
Surreal. I think you hit it. 9/11 for us felt like a movie. Like when that second plane hit the tower, we were looking at each other like, is this actually happening? Is this real? And so it's the same type of feeling as we see the entire globe go through a shared experience. There's so many things that divide us, like geography and language and culture and faith. But the one thing that has united us is this global pandemic. And it feels like a movie.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like, it hit us, it took us by storm. One minute we're enjoying life and coming and going, and the next minute we're hiding out in our houses and, storing up rice for a year, So it's quite shocking,
Yeah. Rice and pasta is officially the will of God right now. Yes. We are finding all kinds of new recipes and inventions in terms of our culinary skills, trying to extend those so that we can be a blessing to our own stomachs. So this is a wonderful time to really, live life, experience life. We've gone back really to, I guess, the basics, if the truth be told. And sometimes I think there's some blessing in that. And I'm going to be talking hopefully more about that as we go along in these weeks to come. However, tonight anyway, is about what a lot of people are struggling with. I've talked to people who are being real with me and saying they never knew they could carry this level of frustration for somebody they claim to love. Number one, there's the pressure of the proximity, because I believe relationships are spatial. And I think you have different couples, different people have their different spaces. And at the moment, spaces are being invaded. There is a space invasion taking place. Then on top of that, we got the kids, and the kids are off school because the schools are closing down in some capacity, at least in most places. And that is added pressure. Now, here's what I want to say as we open up. What blew my mind, I'm a nerd. I like reading, I like research. And what I found out is that this is at least anecdotal. I've yet to get it confirmed in terms of an academic or a more concretized confirmation. But the fact is that they told us in Wuhan, in China, and in the province and in the areas where they had to shut down immediately because of this virus, the moment the shutdown was kind of relaxed and people were able to come out, they said there has been a spike. I read this in the New Yorker. I read it in about 6 or 7 different publications. The moment the quarantine was over in China and they were allowed to come out of their homes and start getting kind of back to more regularity, the divorce rate spiked. So it's like the moment everybody came out of quarantine, the first thing they were looking for was a lawyer. to try and get the heck, so to speak, out of a relationship. And I guess there's got to be some corroboration between the spike. That's why I said it's anecdotal, it's not necessarily academic yet, but there has to be a corroboration or a collaboration or a connection or some kind of link between the fact that people have been in quarantine, and now the moment quarantine's over, there's this spike in divorce rates, and we want to make sure that does not happen. We want to make, so we're calling you guys, you're the paramedics, guys. This is your thing. We're calling you guys to make sure that this does not happen. There is no spike, at least not a spike in the kingdom couples, in people who are Christ followers. So this kind of blew my mind and made me realize, hey, listen, we need to jump on this right now and try and give some ideas, some kind of concepts, ideas, some wisdom in terms of how people can navigate it. So there's two topics tonight we want to discuss. The first topic is managing your marriage in the madness. And when we say the madness, we're talking about the madness of what we're seeing going on and the pressure of being in quarantine and isolation together. And also we want to talk about really parenting through the pandemic. My wife right now, she'd be joining us if she could, but of course she's dealing with my daughter, and they're doing what they can do in terms of the whole education and classes. And so we're having to prioritize. Otherwise, she'd have been on this live with me right now. But listen, so let's open up. We're talking about managing your marriage in the madness. I've heard, now, we keep it real on these Facebook Lives. One of the craziest statements I've heard already is somebody said they did not know, they did not know that COVID makes you frigid. They did not know. They did not know that. I was like, that's a whole rhyme by itself. They're saying that they're not even in. She's not in the mood. I talked to a guy. He said he's in the bed with his wife, and she's turning away from him, and it's probably because of issues and beef and drama they had earlier in the day. There's all kinds of stuff going on. So talk to us about it. Come on, give us some wisdom.
Can I just chime in on what you just said, Mike? Because one thing that I keep hearing is people say, I didn't know my spouse was so ugly, or my wife was so jacked up. We can't go to the nail salon. We can't go to the nail salon. We can't get our weaves done. We can't do anything. We're over here looking a hot mess. We're totally exposed. But I want everybody to know we're in the same boat. Like, everybody's life just blew up. One of the first things that we encountered was our kids got pulled out of school. That was the first thing that happened in the county that we lived in. And we weren't ready for any of that. We didn't have schedules or anything prepared. We didn't have all the food. We didn't know that we were going to be cooking 3 times a day. Now, who's doing that? We're all working. I'm not cooking and feeding and serving and cleaning. So we're all in the same boat. And couples are forced to deal with each other where they never had to for years, because they're getting up in the morning, they're going to work. They don't see each other until after 5, right? And so we've got our routines of avoidance set in stone, and now boom, we're face to face with no choice.
That's right. It's like the government around the world has shut people down, right? Self-contained to protect them from the crisis that's happening outside of their homes, but they didn't realize that it's creating crisis within the homes. Because, as Danielle said, we live our lives by distraction. So I'm gone for 8-10 hours a day and don't have to deal with you. And then I can, once I come home, maybe have a couple words and go onto my side of the house. And now every day I'm forced to be with you 24 hours a day. All of these issues are surfacing to the top.
Boiling over.
And it's creating a huge, huge, huge issue.
It is.
Well, I mean, the fact is everybody's human, no matter, even those of us who are Christ followers, we are human beings also. And the fact is there are tendencies for us to not give each other the grace and the space to be able to dwell together. And that goes back to the whole thing where a lot of people are trying to define the difference between the soulmate and the cellmate. And for real, right now, I think a lot of people, if they're going to keep it 100% real, are feeling like they're with a cellmate rather than a soulmate. So give us your top 3, or maybe 5. I might extend it to 5. Top 5 tips for how to manage the atmosphere before any drama to prevent. Because I believe here's the thing, I believe in vaccination more than just medication. Medication tries to address the issue after there's drama, after there's now arguments, after there's now beef. But vaccination is things you put in place. This is the metaphor I use for things you put in place before stuff comes along, or to stop stuff coming along and harming the marriage. So from a vaccination perspective, give us your top 5 tips for how to deal with each other in that tight social space, so that the soulmate does not become a cellmate?
Yeah, I think one of the first things you have to do with your partner is have a clear discussion of how we are going to repurpose our home, right? Because it seems as though the kitchen was once a place where we would go to eat, but now it's a place where I have to do homework and my laptop's there and she's working and there's phone calls and you're too loud. Listen, I'm on a call with a client. Can you please give me your space? Everything becomes an issue.
Right.
Yeah.
So reevaluating how you use that space. Some of us are fortunate enough to have large homes, and some of us are really in tight quarters, right? And so we have to multitask and use the things in different ways, and it becomes a stress, just a normal. Yeah. So having that conversation, I think, is critically important. Creating a timeline. Like, for instance, if I work an 8-hour shift and you work an 8-hour shift and we have to get work done, but yet we have our kids, how do we readjust our clock in order to accommodate each other so that we don't wind up fighting and fussing over things that have to take place in order for us to continue to thrive? Like, some people are losing their jobs, but a lot of people have to function effectively from their same home with their current job. And so that can cause problems and issues with a couple.
Yeah. I think also it needs to be said that, I mean, like the rest of us, it just hit us. So we're still trying to find our groove, right? We're still trying to figure out what works for us. And we haven't mastered it yet. I mean, every day I think about running away from home and never coming back. But the speaks to me and says, I will not put upon you more than you can bear. And I just read the scripture and keep moving forward, because these kids will drive you mad. And then, you know, we have to consider them. I mean, they are going through something. They are frustrated. I think about the seniors. Here when you're in the 12th grade, you're a senior. That's before you go to college. These kids, their whole senior year, their last year in high school is being shut down. No graduation, nothing that they expected. They worked all these years for. You know, they're in the middle of cheerleading. They're in the middle of sports and things like that. And they've been snatched away from it. And they're trying to juggle all this. So to your point, Pastor Mike, just being empathetic and giving each other the grace that is necessary for you to function every day, because we are all going through something. There's a lot of things I'm hearing people do. They're reading books. Like, when's the last time you had the time to sit down and read a book with your family? How about the Word? When's that happening? So there's a lot we can be doing, and looking at the bright side. I think in every wretched situation, there's an opportunity for us to see the silver lining and take advantage of something. And there's a lot of beautiful things happening in the middle of this quarantine.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, I want everybody who's watching this right now, if it's being a blessing to you, if you can, please share it. Make sure you share, like. If you're enjoying already what Danielle and Hassani are saying, then I want you to hit a whole load of loves, likes. Let me see those come up. And please, keyword share. We were supposed to go live on the other page, but we ended up going live on this page because all kinds of technology is crazy right now. I was mentioning to the group who came on earlier the fact that I'm having friends from across the world telling me how frustrated they are. They're trying their best to serve their faith communities, their churches, having creative meetings, having admin meetings and stuff, trying to be a blessing, just like us over here. I've been in more meetings in 24 hours than I could ever imagine. And so I want to share it. Make sure everybody knows we're on this page. Text somebody as well, guys. Text somebody as well and let them know there's a great discussion taking place over here on Mike White London page. Okay. Now, by the way, guys, if you have any questions, if I can, I'll read a few questions out. If you want to type any questions also in the comments box, just in a little while, I'll ask those questions to Danielle and Hassani, so that we can maybe answer any questions you may have. We'll do just a few. We can't do everybody, but we'll do a few. But for now, I want to carry on with this issue of the fact that we want to hit these wisdoms to help people vaccinate. Keyword vaccinate. So, okay, so you've got a couple, and they're stuck in the house together. Both of them are working, because nowadays this isn't like the 1950s where it's just the dude who's working out and the woman is working at home taking care of the family and the kids. Most people, it's a dual job, it's a dual role and responsibility to bring finances in because of the pressures that the Western world is under. in terms of trying to pay bills, pay a mortgage, whatever else is going on. So the both of them come in, the both of them are trying to work from home. How do they manage that spatial issue of working from home? Then what tips can you give them to make sure that they're able to create an atmosphere of peace after work and desire for one another after work? Because, you know, when you've been cooped up with anybody, unless it's Jesus, okay, if you've been cooped up all day with anybody, after a while you're like, I'm not sure if I want to have a conversation. So talk to us about those kind of aspects, please.
Well, I think you hit it when you first started. You said you believe relationships are spatial, right? So even though you're in close proximity, there needs to be time for you to spend time alone with yourself. We talked about how we are all the lowest common denominator of every relationship we are in. So yes, I can't lose my sense of self, my self-identity. I can't lose my voice. I can't lose what makes me who I am. And a lot of times you take on the identity of your partner or of your family and you've lost yourself. Yeah. And so in this time, Danielle just mentioned this, taking the time to have your own peace of mind, reading a book. Like, for instance, I like to play pool. So I'll go down to the basement and I'll just play pool. And that's my way of de-stressing. Yeah. That's my way of taking a break from all the craziness. So
and I leave you alone in there. I don't bother you. That's your space and I'm good with that.
Yeah. And we all need, and so it's about having a conversation.
You're talking about a site. Could I interject there real quick? Because you said something there, Daniel, which was intriguing, connected to what Hassani was saying. So you're saying it's important to us if you've got the room. I mean, you know, some couples may be in one studio apartment, who knows, but to assign each other independent spaces and then have a mutual space that you come together in. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. You said it so much more articulate than I did, but that's exactly what it is. So if you're in close proximity, okay, for the next hour, babe, you go in there, you enjoy yourself, do what you have to do, be alone, whether you're connecting with family. Because what we found out, the power of social media and technology allows us to now connect with other family members and friends we haven't spoken to in a long time. And she should have her time to do that. Yeah. Likewise.
Well, on that point, listen, and I want you to remember what you're going to say next, but I wanted to throw this in because I tell you what else, that as a pastor, you know, dealing with people, I'm a peopleologist, so to speak, if I could coin a phrase. A plumber deals with pipes, an electrician deals with wires, I deal with people. And what I found in talking to people, guys, here it is, get ready. This is what's interesting. I found out talking to people just in these last couple of days of quarantine, because we've only been on real tight lock. London's only been on tight lockdown, or United Kingdom, I should say, in the last really 48 hours. And what's fascinating to me is this, having conversations with people who are realizing, wait for it, they've been in a long distance relationship with the person they live with.
The whole time. Right.
Yes.
They discovered they've been in a long distance relationship with the very person they've lived with. And now finding things out about the person they did not realize before. And so there's an aspect to this. The reason I bring this up, and if this makes sense to anybody, I'm not saying you're going through this, but if this is making sense to anybody, I want you to hit some likes, and also please remember, guys, share. And the reason I keep saying share is it's not to do with ego, it's to do with the fact that we were supposed to be on the other platform, and I want to make sure everybody who had booked time to come onto this knows where we're at. Anyway, the reason I bring up what I brought up about the fact that people seem to be realizing they've been in a long-distance relationship with the very person they live with is because many people are discovering their spouse for the first time. It's almost like they've moved in with somebody new. How do they navigate that?
What a great opportunity. What a great opportunity. I mean, the next thing I was going to say was, this is the opportunity to break down those walls that have been between us all this time. Because we've been able to use work and all these other responsibilities as our scapegoat, we have nowhere to go but to each other.
Nowhere to go. There is no escape.
That's it. That's it. There is no escape. So what Hassani and I have been doing, because we have 4 children here to deal with, after they've gone off to bed, we have set aside time for ourselves, because we've been working 24 hours a day pretty much. I mean, literally, as soon as we wake up, we start working, whether it's housework or dealing with the kids, homework, schoolwork, and then our own work. And so we have set that time aside because we have been getting frustrated with each other as well, because it's frustrating to have to deal with each other under these new parameters, and we have not established rules or guidelines for this. So this is the opportunity to get with our spouses and say, you know what? Let's discover something new together. Let's begin to explore something new together. We have no choice.
That's right.
And all we have is each other.
So this whole long distance concept, wow, I love the way that's been coined. But what it speaks to is, what?
What happened?
Oh, I don't know what just happened.
Are we still live?
Still on?
Yeah, well, I'm still. I can still see you. Can you still see me?
Well, listen. Let's just keep going. We just had something.
Let me ask my team.
We're good. Sorry about that, guys.
Message, you can still see it. If you can still see us, Asani and Daniel weren't sure if we lost us. Team, help Pastor. You know, Pastor don't know what he's doing.
Yeah, we're still live.
Okay.
We're still live? Okay. Guys, still see us? If you can still see us, hit some likes or something so we know.
That was weird.
We're good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, yeah. The team's come back. They said, we're good. We can keep going. We're good. We're on live. Go.
So we are in close physical proximity when we come home. But the long distance relationship speaks to the fact that we're emotionally disconnected.
Yeah.
And we are as far as the East is from the West. And so now being forced to be with each other all day long, we have to look at each other. You learn things about your partner that you never knew before because you're seeing them all day. And so we often say that there's a gift in every crisis if you take advantage of it. And so to your point, taking out a book and learning each other all over again. We say that one of the principles that we teach and we live by is become a student of your spouse. Get your PhD in your partner. Take the time to relearn them all over again. What are your likes? What are your dislikes? What turns you on? What turns you off? What are your interests? What are your passions? What's your drive? What's your motivation? There's a number of questions that you can engage in to rediscover. Because guess what? We become different people. We're not the same people we were when we said I do. We are now years removed from our wedding day. And so there's a new way of interacting and communicating and dealing with each other that you can learn in this particular process.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question, and I want two perspectives. I want the female perspective and the male perspective. Now, this is going to be quite, some might say it's quite shallow. Some might use a negative statement saying that it's a typical thing for a male to ask. But I did have a discussion with two men today, very much today. And both of them they said it in a jovial way, but I think the statements from at least one of the guys was coming from a deeper place, okay? And this is the issue of, should a couple who are in quarantine try and make a visual effort for each other? One guy said that he had a discussion with his wife about it, and she said, no, you should be used to me like this. It doesn't matter what I look like. Another guy said that his wife said, yeah, I'm going to, because I realize, we all both need to make the effort for each other. She's good with that. Some guys have only married this woman and they're used to her with her hair always done. She's got a weave on till it looks unbeweavable, and she's always looking on fleek and on point. And now he's got to deal with her not necessarily looking as visually, her visual pulchritude is not potent. Let's say, as it normally is. Should she be making an effort for him, and should he be making an effort for her, or should he just be walking around all day in his same clothes, not taking care of himself? I think the answer is obvious. However, I'd like to hear how you both feel from different perspectives, female and male.
See how he points at me? Shame on him. I mean, of course, I think we should try to always be our best. I think most of the time people get up in the morning and get themselves together because they don't want to look at themselves looking a hot mess either. Truly. Yeah. Right? And so
we hope that.
We hope, right? So I think we should. I think if it's an issue for your spouse, how you're looking, and do your best. You can't go to the salon and get your hair braided, but you can maybe do something yourself. A couple of my friends, we're on the Zooms together. We're painting nails together. We're figuring out ways to make it happen. So if it's an issue in your relationship, I say you got to do something about it.
I think
because we don't know how long this is going to be.
This is very true. I think to have a resistance to it is the real problem. Like, why would there be a resistance to one?
Well, one guy saying that his wife was saying to him that, it doesn't, why do I have to dress? I'm working, I'm at home. Why should I dress up for you? Where you should be used to me the way I'm looking right now. Why do I need to, and why does she need to doll herself up, so to speak? I'm not sure if he expects her to doll herself up, but that's not just being, I think that was his context, you know.
Yeah, but Danielle just hit it on the head. See, we're dealing with this topic, but it speaks to a deeper issue.
That's right.
That leads to this whole lackadaisical approach or an unwillingness to want to dress up for their partner. Maybe there's some other issues that are unresolved that has led to that.
Because who have they been dressing up for before that?
And think about it. You go to work every single day. You dress up.
Right.
Good. You put on your best because you're going out in public. But I think you get comfortable with your spouse. You're like, they know me, they love me, it's no big deal. And you're very much more lax. So I think if you have a conversation, both of you can just be more intentional. And maybe this, if not the whole day, because I got to work, I'm dealing with the kids, maybe when everybody goes away, there's nothing wrong with having inside the house dates. Like we can't be outside. We can't go to the movies. We can't go to a concert. We can't go to a play. We can't go anywhere to dress up to look good for each other. But why not create room, space, and environments and an atmosphere in our household where we're romantic for each other, we're attractive to each other. So if not the whole day, let's say when the kids go away, let's go in our quarters, let's get dressed up, and then let's engage. I mean, so I think it's just about being open. Yeah. And if you're open as a couple, you're going to have to do something different. Please. You just have to.
Because this quarantine is going to feel twice as long if you're looking at somebody that look like a tree stump.
No. Daniel, did you say a tree stump? A tree stump, right? That's the first time I've ever heard that phrase. That's hilarious. Okay. So basically to summarize that particular point, then there should be a desire to want to look good for each other at some point. You can't just say the same stuff you went to bed in, you're wearing the entire day for the next 2 days and crazy stuff like that.
Come on now, we've all been guilty of that since quarantine, okay? But let's not make it routine.
Exactly. Right. Like listen, one of the top 10 emotional needs of men and women is an attractive spouse. Yeah. And physical attraction is one of the things that initiates a relationship. Well, you got to maintain it. You can't say, well, we together now, so bump that. That's not important anymore. It's even more important. Yeah. So you got them, now you got to keep them by making sure that you take care of yourself and you become your best self.
Yeah.
Right. Well, let me move to another topic connected to attraction, which is sex. The fact is, over here, we've got a large, especially, I guess certain areas, certain boroughs even more than others. But right now, as I'm sure is happening in the States, there's 2 wars. I mean, the way I've looked at this thing going on is there's 2 wars. There's the war on the virus, and then there's also a war on fear. And those who are fighting the war on the virus are our front line. We have, of course, over here, I know you guys don't have it there, but we are so blessed to have a national health service over here, which we try and protect, and we love it. If any politician messes with it, he knows that's the end of him, because we protect it. We love it. They're an amazing bunch of people, and they're the ones fighting the virus. But we've got a large, I know even within our church, we've got a large demographic of people who work in the NHS in some capacity. And the fact is, by the time they've been worn out, and I'm not just dealing with NHS workers, by the way, guys, this doesn't just apply to NHS workers. I'm just using them as an example. By the time you get home and you're tired after trying to take care of all these people who are infected and affected by this virus situation, where do you get the energy from to really be intimate? And then how do you stop the intimacy drying up, disappearing, vanishing over the next what could possibly be 3 months?
Yeah. Well, I think that sex is the second step. The first step is intimacy. And I think many people make intimacy and sex synonymous, and they're not. Like if there is no intimacy, then sex dries up.
Yes. Thank you for saying. I was going to wait, because if he had tried to pass the ball to me, I was going to turn it back around, because let's be honest, okay? The brunt of the work is on the wives right now. It just is. It's for most cases.
Unpack it, Danielle.
For most. Okay, that's not everybody, because there's always an exception. But for the most part, it's us who have had to really step it up in a major way, especially if we're still working from home. We are now teachers. We are now the lunch staff at the school. We're the cleanup. We're the mop up. We're the anti-infected up. because everybody's going crazy, mopping, wiping, swiping, and cleaning to get the virus out of the house as best as we can. We are going crazy. And so the other day, I was looking crazy. Crazy, okay? And Hassani was like, what is going on with you? And I'm like, I don't know. I was literally having an out-of-body experience. And he didn't even realize that he needed to step up in a big way for me, because I was running myself raggedy and I didn't even know how to distribute the work. I'm like, I got to do this, that, the third, the fourth, the fifth. And so when I explained this to him, Hassani was ready to step up to do the best he can. He even made some terrible spaghetti. Now, it was terrible. It was terrible, y'all.
How do you make bad spaghetti? You just
it was terrible, Pastor Mike. It was terrible.
I don't get that, bro. Come on, bro. You got to do better than that.
But I didn't care, and neither did the kids, because it was done. And so we cannot ignore the fact that there's so many responsibilities that we're faced with. When it comes to intimacy, he looked into me to see I needed some help. Otherwise, it wasn't nothing going to happen in the bed that night, because it's just too exhausting. So we have to make room for each other, y'all. Let's step up. Everybody needs to step up and help out.
And to that point, because I was looking to see that, and because we had a conversation about how she felt overwhelmed and how I needed to help more with the kids and with the school and stuff like that. Because, I'm working. I got clients. I'm working on projects. I got training
We are
sessions.
working.
Wait a minute. I'm talking about me.
Okay.
I'm working. See this already? See this? I'm working. Yeah. And so, but I can't forget that there are all these other things happening in the household.
Yeah.
So I've got to play my part. And so by me participating and being a partner to her in some of those things, the sex, which was step 2, did happen. And so you just have to be mindful. You have to. Exactly.
Yeah, and you know what? And it comes from a good place.
Thank you for sharing that with us, guys.
Well, look, we like to keep it real, right? But at the end of the day, it needs to come from a good place. It can't come from a forced place. We're already under too much pressure to be dealing with duty sex. So let's do something so that we don't have to feel like it's a duty, and we actually want to give ourselves to each other because we feel taken care of.
Yeah, that's amazing. Love that. I love the transparency, and I think just this conversation, just the transparency, is going to be giving many couples relief in terms of thinking: are they going to end it by the end of this whole quarantine thing? Have I married the wrong person? Is this Lucifer's sister? Is this the devil's cousin? People are freaking out, and this is in the Western world. We're so good at putting on a face and a pretense and a filter in terms of trying to make ourselves look phenomenal. And we're all humans trying to make it through this thing and trying to do the best to maintain and stay connected with each other as married couples. One of the fascinating things as well is that you guys have always been very transparent about the fact that there is going to be pressure, there's going to be disagreements, there's going to be arguments. What do you do if there is a real kicking off? What's the best thing you guys can recommend people do? Kicking off is a European colloquialism. It's a UK colloquialism. Kicking off as in fighting, not necessarily physically, but having a conflict. And there's an issue. You have beef. You have drama. Okay. And what's the best thing people can do to try and bring a resolution if now drama does happen? Because we've talked about vaccination to try and prevent drama. Now, what happens if drama happens? What's the best thing we can do to really bring medication to that situation?
Number 1, pause, stop. See, because once it gets emotional and you're emotionally infused and you're engaged in a conversation, no resolution comes out of that, because emotions are not logical. They don't make sense. So you can't solve or resolve any problem when you are drenched, soaked, and saturated in emotions. So sometimes you just have to take a break, come back in an hour, come back later in the day when your emotions have subsided, to then engage and deal with it. That's number 1. Number 2, you have to have a lifeline. Listen, I've gotten so many calls in the last few days of couples who are in legitimate crisis, ready to do everything. So you've got to have...
Because of the quarantine. It's
directly related. Perfect example. Just today, I have a client who's a firefighter. He's on the front lines. He was exposed to the coronavirus. So the chief had him and 8 other people stay in a hotel overnight, don't go home, don't expose your spouse and your children, but because there were infidelity issues in the past, now she's triggered. What do you mean you're going to a hotel? With who? Where? Who are you with? What's happening? And so literally, I'm getting text messages while we're engaged that they're about to call it quits and they need help just to manage through all of these challenges. And so the point is, if they had not had a lifeline, Couples Academy, if you all don't have a lifeline, whether it be your pastor or a marriage mentor or whomever, then it can cause more problems than it needs to. So you got to pause. You have to have a lifeline, somebody that you can go to for guidance. And we always talk about the techniques like the marriage negotiation worksheet. These are tools that we've given people that you've got to use. I think sometimes we outsmart the very tools that we've been given and figure we don't need that. We can figure it out on our own, but you're not in a position where you can do that. And so you've got to have a community. Listen, last point. We say this all the time. It takes a village to raise a child, right? Well, likewise, it takes a community to keep a marriage intact. And if you're not connected to a community that can support you when you're going through, then it's just going to go from bad to worse.
Love it. Love the wisdom. Love it. Great. This is great. Those of you who don't know Hassani and Danielle, you need to check out couplesacademy.org. couplesacademy.org. Danielle and Hassani, in my opinion, are some of the world's greatest marriage, I call them marriage consultants. They provide, so to speak, an ambulance service. It's almost like an ER paramedic. We over here call it A&E for marriages that are in trouble. They tend to deal a lot with celebrity couples and people who can fly them in. They fly around the world to come and provide triage and rescue and healing and treatment and emergency surgery, so to speak, on marriages. And so that's why we've got them on here today, or tonight, I should say, in the UK. I don't know what time you're watching it, wherever you are around the world. But they joined me, Pastor Mike White, and that's what you're watching here. Please share this. Don't just be a voyeur. Don't just be somebody who watches stealthily and takes all the nuggets down and gets blessed, but don't be a blessing. Please share it with somebody else. Just share, hit the share button on your page. If this is blessing you guys, hit some likes. I want to see some likes or loves or whatever, just so that I know that this is being a blessing to you. It's helpful. Well, we're all housebound and feeling like we may need deliverance, because once you're bound, you need to be delivered. This is supposed to be really helping people navigate their way through and realize that you're not stir crazy. These are natural times, or natural things that we're experiencing in these times concerning pressure. All right. I want to just do a quick advert as well. Friday morning, for all of us who are Christ followers, all of you who are members of the tab, remember Friday morning, it's not going to be Thursday morning now, Friday morning, I want everybody on the prayer call at 6:30. We had an amazing time, amazing, powerful time on Tuesday morning, and I want to thank the literally hundreds of you who dialed in. I want to apologize to those of you who I heard couldn't get through. We hit the maximum capacity on Tuesday morning, but we've now spoken to the organization who runs our lines, and we've extended the capacity so more people can come onto the prayer line on Friday morning, 6:30 a.m. Friday morning, 6:30 a.m. All right, guys, love you all. I'm trying to do my best. I've been over here, Hassani and Danielle. I'm trying to pass the people through this. I want to be the leader that people need. We want to provide the leadership. My pastoral care team have been amazing. We've got a hotline that people can call if they're lonely and genuinely alone and have nobody to interact with. We're trying to really fight, as I said, while the National Health Service professionals are fighting the virus, we're trying to fight the other war, which is the war of fear, and remove that from people. There are lonely people. Some of the calls I got when I had our hotline, I was dealing with it directly on Sunday. And some of the calls that I received, people were carrying fear and people were lonely. And then it started making me think about people who are lonely and also having to manage their fears and also manage their children's fears, those people who have kids. So let's switch topics now from marriage. We talked about managing the marriage and the madness. And let's talk about kids. And then I'm going to take a few questions. So we're going to spend a few minutes talking about the parenting through the pandemic. And then we're going to take a few questions. If you write your questions down, I can see the questions. I don't know, can you guys see them as well? You guys can't see them, or you can see them?
We can. You
can see them. So we'll look at some questions and we'll answer a few just in a minute. Once I say go with the questions, you write your questions down to have them ready. maybe write them down, cut, paste, so they're in your thumb, so to speak, and then you can just paste it in when it's time for the questions. But right now, I want us to talk about parenting through the pandemic.
Yeah.
Give us, you guys have got 4 kids. What's your kid's name?
Paris, Madison, Savannah, and Sydney.
Yeah. We've got.
Paris, now, Paris and Sydney. Is there a reason? Because there's going to be some kids after this issue called quarantine.
I said that. I said I guarantee you, there's going to be children in quarantine.
Quarantine. Hey, quarantine. Pass to the orange. Quarantine.
Just don't name them Corona. How about that? Or Rona.
Definitely don't name them Corona. Don't name them Corona. Please do not do that. It's like them folk who name their kids Jezebel. I never understand that one, but another story. So let's come back here. Some people's theology is just way off, Parenting through the pandemic. What have you experienced as number 1, the top 3 challenges, and number 2, what has been your solution to those challenges, parenting those children?
Well, from my perspective, the first big challenge has been my kids actually receiving that this is an actual real crisis that we're in. I don't know if it's a generational thing or what, but these kids are very desensitized to crisis because they have so much exposure to things. They've seen people blow up on TV and all that. When we were coming up, we didn't really have that much sensationalization in what we watch. And so they're very numb to it. And so we've had to really sit down with them and make it clear to them how serious this actually is, how you have to actually follow the protocols. They haven't really understood that. So that has been a major, major problem. And because we have kids of different ages, we have high schoolers and we have elementary schoolers, just be very cautious about how real we are. We want to be real. We want to be honest, but we also want them to have hope and not go to sleep with nightmares,
Yes.
And then I think the third issue would just be the fact that we're dealing with this all at one time in one place and just not knowing where their emotions lie with it. I think each kid is dealing with it. In our house, each child is dealing with it their own way, completely different too. And so for us, it's just been slowing down and kind of meeting each child where they are, having those moments and discussions with them one-on-one to just see exactly how is this affecting them and how we can help and how we can use the word to help. Yeah.
Beautiful. Love that. So in using the word to help, how have you applied that? Give us a practicalize it. Give us a anecdotal example of how the word has helped and what you've done.
So for instance, we talk to our kids about world events. We've talked to them about how there are all types of things happening all around the world. Like this is a pandemic, right? So this is a crisis that we're in. But there are examples in scripture where they've gone through similar experiences. So we talk about Joseph and how they went through a famine and how they had to store up for many years so that when the famine came, they were prepared and ready. So we're talking about the difference between people being caught up in panic versus preparation. We are preparing because we don't know if it's going to be 2 weeks, 2 months, or however long, versus other people who are panicking. And so we're able to make the scripture more real because we're able to now connect the dots from historical biblical stories to real life current day situations.
I think the Bible has become more relevant as a result of it, which has been a real blessing because especially the high schoolers who we've kind of lost to the world in some regard, and we're always having to pull them back every time they come in the house. We're able to actually show them, see, this is what really happens, and kind of drawing them into the word. And now we're seeing them with a new interest in the Bible. It becomes relevant to them now. They really haven't had a reason for the Bible to be as relevant as it is right now before this. So that has been a real blessing, honestly.
Tell us some more about the other pressures that you've either with your own kids or with some of the other couples that you provide the ER service to that people have encountered during this season.
I think one of the biggest pressures that you'll hear, you're talking to people or even watching news reports. I'm not a teacher. I don't remember. Their math is different. Their science is different. And here I am trying to help, and I'm making situations worse because I don't even understand.
Causing them to fail the problem. Oh, my goodness.
And now you're dealing with, as in our situation, we have 2 in high school, 2 in elementary. So now we have to be competent on different grade levels, and they each require their own level of attention. You have some parents who have children who have learning disabilities who require a little bit more support and help. So it's a big strain on parents and how they show up for their children in regards to their education.
I've had wives reaching out to me, just literally, like I said, wanting to run away from home. Someone reached out to me this morning on Marco Polo and basically said they tried to auction their child off in a group today. I like their child. So there is definitely some frustration going on. Just, do we even like our children? That's what we're trying to figure out right now. So everybody's going through something, but we're working it out, because even in that conversation, she said, you know what, but at the end of the day, we're spending more time together. We're talking. I'm learning my child like I never learned my child before. I didn't know that they thought this way or had these opinions, so there is a beautiful thing happening where families are actually coming together and reconnecting. We are actually able to get a better grip on our children, especially the high school kids. And if you have high school students or that age children, you understand that they begin to shape their own ideas and opinions out there in the world. And so now you have your hands, or it's like you have a new grip on them, because they're coming to you because of all this uncertainty. And so it's a huge opportunity to share the word with them and invite them to renew their relationship with Christ.
Exactly.
Yeah. I was talking to somebody the other day, and they were saying that one of the things we've got to be careful of as parents, and I don't know if anybody online, remember, please share this, make sure you're sharing it. I know I keep saying it, but it's because I'm quite feeling a little guilty about the whole platform issue that happened earlier. But everybody share it. If this is blessing you, by the way, just hit some likes, and get your questions ready. We're going to come to the questions in a minute. But the person was saying to me that they're a professional in terms of working in schools with making kids aware of how to manage themselves online and being careful online. And there are predators out there who know that kids are going to be spending more time online now. And so I think we as parents need to be even more observant of what our kids are watching and what they're engaging in terms of their communication online. And also this is a time as well where we've got to be careful of online bullying, because the kids are going to be, they're going to be on these phones and on their computers and laptops and iPads and whatever else. And so we just got to be extra cautious as well in that context. All right. So tell us just while we're on this parenting through the pandemic, give us just quickly your top three. Give us top three quick bullets as to what you think people can do to engage their kids. You talked about the word of God. You talked about talking to them and explaining to them about what's going on in the right context. Give us your top three that you think people can activate right now.
Two things real off the top. I think you should have no or non-technology times. There should be blocks in the day where they don't have their phone, they don't have a tablet, they don't have the computer, they don't even have TV. What we've learned,
that's going to be World War III.
It's been a battle.
It has.
For some people, not in my house. In my house, we've trained her. But I'm not saying we got the perfect situation, but she's a good girl. We've trained her really well to understand there are times when we're just going to lock off and it's going to be us, So go ahead.
Yeah, like I think the more technology and access they have to media, they're bored all the time. When we removed it, they realize, wow, we have a backyard. There's things we can play with. Wow, there are games, there are toys. How about we can talk to each other? We are sisters. We have a relationship. And so we realize that when technology is removed, they get closer, they get more creative, more imaginative, and it helps their brain stimulate a lot better. Another thing I think is important, you have to have daily meetings. So literally, you mentioned how you have Zoom calls and trainings and you're meeting with your team and different people around the world because of all the information that's coming out. Well, you should have daily meetings with your children, explaining what's happening. Because if they're on their technology, they're looking at the same reports that you may be looking at and interpreting it in their own way. And so there's got to be a game plan. There's got to be conversation. There's got to be implementation based upon conversations that you have daily. There's a few things that we've been focusing on. We call it the F's. We've been talking about family. We've been talking about the importance of...
Hold on. You call the what?
Family. Go back to family.
The F's, right? 5 or 6 F's.
Okay, go ahead.
Family, right? Developing our faith, okay?
Right.
Learning how to have more fun. So we're talking about playing games and putting puzzles together outside in the backyard. It's having fun. The importance of fitness, right? Because the best way to combat the coronavirus is to make sure that we're in our best health. So Danielle has turned into a scientist, a doctor, a natural
gym teacher.
everything. So because
a naturopathic.
Listen, cookies, candy, ice cream, cake. What that does is it brings down your immune system. It makes you susceptible to everything that's happening in the world. So we're talking about building up your immune system by eating the right foods and taking the right supplements, all those type of things. Then another F is future. Now, this is important. This will come to an end. But what will life be like when it does come to an end? Are we going to go back to business as usual? Are we going to go back to our normal ways and tendencies that got us caught up in this situation where we're at each other's throat in the first place? Or are we going to create our own new norm? See, when crisis happens, we know that governments around the world are rewriting all the rules.
That's right.
Why can't we do that as a family and be intentional? Right, exactly. Why can't we be intentional? So these are the things that we're talking about to make sure that we're moving forward beyond this situation.
Love it. We I think it's brilliant. Love all what you're saying. We at our house here, what we're doing is while we're working, while I'm working, and we over here now, we've got a rule that the Prime Minister's introduced that we can go out for exercise and emergency things only in general. But exercise is one thing. So my lunchtime, I'll take a break. My daughter will take a break from her schoolwork. Today we did it actually, and we went out and we went on a journey of discovery. We went and looked at stuff. In fact, I noticed things I hadn't seen before. I'm talking to people who I've never spoken to before in my own neighborhood. And it's just interesting how this enemy, this common enemy is actually causing people to have communication. But also going back to the other F you mentioned, I think this is an obvious thing, but so important, is the fun factor. The fun factor is vital. And so, guys, I'm going to be real with you. I've been doing TikToks.
Me too. Me too.
I don't know. I don't know.
You learned TikTok too.
We've been trying to look at some TikTok dances and just, I'm ready. I told her I'm ready. Whenever you're ready, we may do a switch thing. There's this switch thing they're doing. So it's just fun. I think we've got to find the fun in ourselves as well. And make sure that they don't become too old too soon because of this.
Yeah.
We usually use that terminology in terms of our kids being forward in a negative way, but also I'm talking about just becoming they lose their childhood. I think we've got to find our childhood in ourselves and bring it out with they maintain their fun, even if it's I don't know. That looks like Madonna. That was Madonna Vogue, right? That was guys. I'm trying. I'm a TikTok here, okay? The pastor's trying everything. I'm trying to help people, trying to help my family. So I think the fun factor is vital for the survival of our kids' youth. I think that's what's critical. All right, guys, if you've got any questions, if you're liking this, hit some likes, share, and paste your questions in the comments, and we'll come and we'll answer. If you put as much as 10 questions, we'll get Danielle and Hassani to answer those questions. Now, don't write Psalms 119 now. We don't want epistles. We've got enough of those in the Bible. We just want summarized questions, guys. If you've got any questions, then please write them down ASAP, paste them in the comments, and we'll come and answer any questions that you've got to say or got to propose or put forward so that Danielle and Hassani can answer them. So please get your questions ready. What's the most fun thing you've done so far with the kids, by the way, guys? What's been happening?
I think
under that period,
a discovery walk. We went and I didn't even know we had a big cow farm literally behind our house. And so we went up, we saw all these cows, and the kids enjoyed something so simple with no technology. We walked over there and we just stared at the cows. That was fun.
Simple.
And honestly, we weren't sure if we could do much more because there's really nowhere to go. There's nothing open.
Listen, we've been with Gabriella and I today. We were discovering flowers we didn't even know. Then you can go onto apps and find out the names of them. We just tried to utilize that time as best as we could. Then we started timing ourselves for running. She said, "Now this is what blew me away. I shouldn't even publicize my business like this. I'm going to lose my cool. Everybody's going to laugh at me and take them." Gabriella said to me, "Dad, we were doing a sprint." And she said, "Dad, I didn't know you could run." I've never seen you run like this before. Because she doesn't come to the gym with me. I run at the gym. I'm just going to run just randomly, you know. But because of this, we're having to race each other and stuff and just find the fun. So I'm literally exhausted right now. But anyway, that's another story. So one of the questions we've got here, as we see, is what's the best way to keep your cool with your children, especially while homeschooling? What tips have you found?
Man.
It's easy to get frustrated.
I found that tip. So
yeah.
Touche on that comment.
Wow. Listen.
It's getting better every day.
It is. We have to take breaks. Like, we switch off. Like, when she reached her limit, we switch off. I take control. Yeah. When I'm getting like overwhelmed, she switches. She takes control, because you need an opportunity to just breathe and de-stress and show up as your best self. Because if I'm not my best self, I can't be a good dad. I can't be a good husband, because I'm not a good Hassani. Right? Yeah. So taking the time to do that is important. And just putting everything in context, like, okay, this is not going to last forever. We're going to get through this. I need to stay strong. Like, sometimes you have to self-talk to get yourself through a situation.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think that's beautiful, and that's great when you're a couple, but also you've got single parents who are trying to homeschool and managing their own kids. And what I would advise people to do as well, I mean, nobody's got this completely worked out. Number one, do not beat yourself up as a parent. Do not beat yourself up or feel like a failure. Everybody is struggling right now to try and manage. All of us are going to be campaigning after this for teachers to get the pay rise as well, because we're realizing this is a $1 million or pound job. Okay, but one of the things you've got to do is here's a tip for me is let your child teach you first. So sit down with the child. Your child has to feel like they're achieving as well. So let them teach you some of the things they've done before and explain to you how they did it, and just interact with them on that. Because one of the goals here is to keep the child's brain active and keep the child's self-esteem high, so they don't feel like they're failing at their classes as well. So sit down and say, okay, show me what you did last. What was the last great maths equation or last great science project you did, and tell me how you did it. Tell me. So use that time so that they feel that they're winning. There's got to be a balance. If you're struggling with the new work, balance that with them feeling the success of the fact that they're remembering the achievement with previous work. So that's very important, so that their self-esteem stays high, so that you stay cool, and so that also they can also make sure that their brain is staying active by remembering equations or science projects or whatever else they've done before. If that's some wisdom, I want you to hit some likes if that's helping anybody. I think these are some key things that we probably need to do to make sure we're trying to be a blessing in our kids' lives. We've got another question here. What if a family are struggling with children with special needs and rely on the schools to accommodate the child? Schools to accommodate the child in the day. How does a parent manage the emotion of not having that help right now? Okay, so what if a family, you can see, I don't know if you guys can read this as well, Daniel and Hassani. What if a family are struggling with children with special needs and rely on the schools to accommodate the child in the day? How does a parent manage the emotion of not having that help right now?
Yeah, well, it's kind of what I mentioned before, how it takes a community. Yeah. And because a lot of parents are feeling like they're left on their own to just figure everything out. And this is a new world for them, not only dealing with their child all day long who has special needs from an educational perspective, but not even understanding the curriculum. Well, there are online communities, there are forums, there a lot of Zoom calls are happening all over the country now, where people who have shared experiences of having special needs children are getting on and being connected and kind of working through and talking through how to manage on a day-to-day basis. And so the parent needs support as the parent supports the child. So you have to rely on wisdom that's greater than your own to get through this. And so we found that our technology allows them to do that.
Excellent. Bernadine, I see Bernadine, she's one of our ministers at our church, and she's a teacher. She's a school teacher as well. And she said something here, which I think something that's so obvious, is so simplistic, but yet so important. She said, give your kids rewards for work to encourage them as well. Reward them. I mean, there's sometimes you can't reward them by taking them out. You can't reward them by taking them to McDonald's. Over here, I don't know, by the way, over there is McDonald's closed. Over here, McDonald's closed at 7 p.m. I think it was last night or night before, and I have never seen so many people trying to get their last Happy Meal before the sad quarantine. It was hilarious, but that's another story. But I think the rewards of the kids, you could reward them with extra time on their phone to talk to their kids, talk to their friends, I should say. But I think rewards, that's a great point there that you've made. And I think that's worth everybody noting. Well, what other questions have we got that are coming up? We have got any other questions? Can you guys see any other questions on here?
There's another one that says, what if one of you as a key worker had to go to work and you have children and go out, then come in tired to your family who needs you too? How do you manage this? And I think we talked about that before. You really just need to sit down with your partner or your spouse and say, listen, we got to come up with something. How can we split the responsibilities? I am beat. You know, we are not able to just order out anymore, right? We can't just go order food and just take that weight off. So how can we partner to take the load off? It's really just communicating. It's
communicating with each other, but it's also having these sobering conversations with your children. Like, for instance, our children, right? So this all popped off. There's 3 birthdays in our household in 1 month. Right? My 2 youngest, 2 days apart, had a birthday. We have another one who has a birthday in a couple of weeks.
16.
And we had to let them know, like, listen, during this season, things are just different. It's the resetting of their mindset and their emotions and expectations. And you have to let them know, listen, this is just for a period of time. I don't know how long it's going to last, but it will come to an end. Things will shift and change. But in the meantime, I need you to be strong. I need you to be positive. I need you to adjust. Being highly adaptable in this situation is so critically important in order to make it through. And guess what? We can have this conversation once a week, but sometimes it requires you having a daily conversation with your children, reminding them. And it goes back to those morning meetings that we have with our kids. We just had one this morning. We took there was an hour presentation that a doctor gave unpacking corona. I said, let's just watch 10 minutes of it and then let's have a conversation. And so just talking to them on a daily basis, casting the vision on a daily basis will help to keep them intact and help you get you through this situation.
So they can help out as well. I mean, we've assigned our kids tasks, and I mean, they have their chores to do. So that also would help take some of the load off of that, person that's overworked. Yeah,
absolutely. I think one of the things we've got to do also with our kids, because I'm really concerned, my biggest concern during this corona issue is not just the virus. My biggest concern is self-esteem, fear. All of these things are connected to one word, which is mental health, including the mental health of our children. And so I think one of the things I've been advising people myself to do is to be careful with their language with their kids. For instance, in our home, this month should have been my daughter's first teenage birthday. She's officially becoming a teenager. I've taken gun lessons and everything, so I'm good. But she's officially become a teenager. And with becoming a teenager, we were going to have a party for her, a celebration. And one of the things we've been very conscious of to maintain a hope and not deflate our kids is to use correct language. So rather than saying, right, the party's cancelled, the celebration's cancelled, that word cancelled is very final. So just talk about postponed. We're going to put it off and then get a date in the calendar, a realistic date, quite a little further away. You can say, we're going to do something on this day. Don't worry, we're just putting it off for now, but it's going to be great. We're going to have a great time. It's going to be fantastic. And then if this thing ends earlier, you can just say, look, we've decided we're going to bring it closer. Does that make sense? But not having the language of finality. Finality is not going to be inspirational, and it's going to affect their self-esteem and affect their youth. And one of the things our kids have got to learn to enjoy is their youth. Okay. All right. Is there any other question? We'll take one more question and then we'll shut it down for tonight. This has been great tonight. Who else have we got? Can you see any other questions, guys?
There's a question by Natalie Lynch. It says, do you think it's okay to be your children's friend while being a single parent or having both parents involved? And do you think that being their friend would be better implemented in terms of laying down specific rules? I think there has to be a balance. I often have to remind our kids occasionally, I'm not your friend, right? Don't talk to me or come to me as casual as you would your friends. There should be a respect that you have for us as your parents. However, it's important that we be friendly and be playful and jovial with our kids, but there's got to be a level of respect that they have for us. So in essence, you do have to look up, not look across, because positionally we're your parents and we're here to lead you, guide you, steer you, and everything else. But yes, we need to be friendly, because that's the world.
And I think it also depends on, what season you are in the lives of your children, right? I mean, when you're an adult, it is more of a, friendly relationship. But if you are leading and guiding and raising children, there definitely needs to be a hierarchy. We're not friends. I am guiding you. I am grooming you. And so that's really the position I would take.
Absolutely. Well, my team have just told me there's a whole load of other questions coming in from a plethora of watch parties and things that are taking place with this live as well. So they're gonna send me one or two more. I think I'm gonna give you guys, team. I'm gonna give you 60 seconds to post them in. We've been going a long time here tonight already. I wanted to give people. It's not like everybody's got anything to do. So I guess we can play with another 5 minutes or 10 minutes right here. If this has been a blessing to you guys, those of you watching, and you're glad we did this, I didn't want to just do another live where I'm just another pastor just talking. You get enough of me doing that. I wanted to bring you wisdom that would help you navigate through these times. And all of us are going through, you'll find the same kind of pressure. So do not feel alone. Do not beat yourself up in terms of feeling deflated that you're not a successful parent or you're not being the right wife or the right husband. Let's all understand that we've got ways we can improve, but we are all navigating a difficult state, a difficult situation. So where have you posted them, guys? Have you put them in the group, in the comments? Let's have a look in the comments. Is there any other questions that have appeared in the comments? Can you see any other questions, guys, that have appeared in the comments, Danielle and Asani?
While Dave is looking at these questions, let me just say this. There are people all around the world that are watching right now, those in London, those in the States, and all around the world. And many of you are struggling. You're couples in crisis. You're dealing with a lot of pressures, and you don't have help. You don't have a lifeline. We highly recommend go to couplesacademy.org. There's nothing wrong with having a session with people who can guide you through what it is that you're going through. You don't have to live in your crisis. You don't have to live in the pit of your pain. There is an answer. There's a solution. So go to couplesacademy.org. Let us set up a discovery call with you and get you on the path to fulfillment. Absolutely.
Leon, bless you. I see you saying thank you, Pastor Mike. God bless you guys. Thank you for sending us your positive comments. Is greatly appreciated as I'm reading them here. One question's come in as well, asking, what if a couple is unsure if one of them has the virus as they show slight symptoms? How can they be intimate with each other? You'll answer that. Go ahead.
I mean, they need to be tested.
They need to be tested, number one.
But the other part is that if there's somebody under your roof that is infected, it's very likely that you are as well, according to what the news is saying, right? Because we have to have a 6 foot distance, right? So you may be carrying and may be infected. I don't know if it's the type of virus that compounds. We're not medical, we're not medical professionals. But I would just think that person needs to get tested. Of course, Hassani has a cough. Well, I just had him go and talk to the doctor to have himself tested because I was about to quarantine him out the house. So not everybody who's sick, guys, has the virus. Okay, people have regular colds as well. So you gotta do what you can wherever you are to see if you can get tested. It's not easy everywhere. I don't know how it's getting handled in London.
But there are situations where there are couples and one does have the virus, and so they are self-isolating themselves in the home. So, for instance, there's a bedroom that he has gone to for that 10, 14-day period and stays in that space. And there's one member of the family who serves that person while all the other children or family members are protected. And so he got very sick. He had the flu. He's doing much better now. He's gotten past it. He's taken his medications. And then he was reintroduced back into the normal space within his house. So if you have symptoms or if you're feeling some type of way, get tested. And in the meantime, self-quarantine and self-isolate yourself in a certain part of the house.
Yeah. Makes sense. Well, guys, we're going to give another 60 seconds for any questions to appear. If no other questions appear, then we're going to let it go tonight. We've tried to be as big a blessing as possible. Guys, I'm trying my best to pastor you. Those of you who are members of the Tab Church London, I love you. I miss you. I miss our gatherings physically, our face-to-face gatherings, as it were. And we can't wait for those to kick back off. Our first gathering after this, I'm sure, is going to be a phenomenal blessing. But these Facebook Lives on Wisdom Wednesday nights, we're going to be trying to keep on and bringing topics that bring practical blessings into the lives of people, and to help bring wisdom and inspiration, transformation, and hopefully elevation to your lives by the end of this. Like I said at the beginning of this live, I found out, having spoken to people, because as a pastor you deal with people every day, that some couples are discovering that they've been living in a long distance relationship with the person they live with, a long distance relationship with the person they live with. And this is a time for actually to make that an opportunity for fresh discovery, fresh conversation. It's bringing us back to basics, because there is no exit now. You can't just walk out the house and rock up to your friend's house and complain about your wife. You've got to be mature and face up to having conversation right now. One question came in. Where is that one gone now? Here we go. Any tips on managing toddlers at home? Young kids. There's one there. You guys can answer that question. Go ahead.
I mean, I think it's pretty much putting the same principles in place, really, right? Trying your best to make a space for you to just get your head clear. It's all about scheduling with kids, right? So if you have toddlers, they've got their nap times. I remember when I had toddlers, one of the hardest things for me to do was sit the heck down and relax when my kids were napping. You're always thinking you got to get up and do a whole bunch of things. Well, when they're napping, take your time to nap. Take your time to get some peace and get a clear head. This is really the best you can do right now.
And also, as we've heard before, cleanliness is next to godliness. This is more of a time to be clean. Kids, toddlers have a tendency of just grabbing things, putting things in their mouth. And so you have to be very cautious and overprotective about their cleanliness, their sanity, just making sure that the sanitation, everything is right and exact. We watched the video today, and it talked about how the virus can actually carry and transfer from person to person. And we were like, really? We had no clue that there were so many different ways. So being more protective over your children during this time, I think, is critically important.
Great. Love you guys. Well, we've heard tonight so many things. We've heard about the fact that we need to make an effort for each other in terms of our appearance, our attractiveness. Even though you're both in the house, don't just stay in the same old clothes that you went to bed in and get up and just lounge around. That you need to serve each other, respect each other in that context, make an effort for each other. We heard, from what I remember, talk about keeping certain zones. That's your zone, that's my zone. Not that it's a territory, but it's a space that you both can go to and do your thing, and then come back to a unified zone where you're able to kind of have marriage connections and intimacy. We talked about intimacy before sexuality, and all kinds of things you've heard tonight, guys. And I hope what Daniel and Asani have brought has been wise. I tried to throw just a couple of things in. I really wanted them to talk tonight, not so much just for you to hear from Pastor yet again. But we're hoping that you guys are surviving. You can make it through this madness. Your marriage can make it through this madness. You can parent through this pandemic. And one of the critical things I want you to do is to be interactive with each other, guys. So couples, get on the phone, do FaceTime calls with other couples, compare notes as to what you're going through. If you're a single parent, find another single parent and get on the phone with them, compare notes, talk about what you're going through. Let your kids talk to each other. We've got to utilize the technology to interact so that no one will have no one. I'm going to say that again, so that no one will have no one. Everybody needs somebody. We love you guys. I'm praying for you. Pastors, praying for you. I'm praying for you. I wish I could reach out, hug you all. I'm a hugger. Those of you at the Tab Church, that's how we roll there. We high five. We tell your neighbor. We push your neighbor. We do everything. But I miss you guys, and I pray that God protects you, guides you, and we're going to bring more wisdom over the next few weeks by the grace of God on Wisdom Wednesdays. But remember, Friday morning, 6:30 a.m., there's going to be the power prayer call. The power prayer call, I want you to keep the power of prayer in your homes. They're telling us that more Bibles than ever before are selling out in certain stores. People are having a spiritual awakening, because there's something about when you come face to face with mortality, you really realize you need to understand your spirituality. And so people are waking up to this. So let's encourage people. Let's speak hope. Let's speak positivity to each other. Let's have faith over fear. And let's walk forward together, because we walk by faith and not just by what we see, guys. So let's push forward. Love you, Daniel and Asani. Thank you so much for your time tonight. Have a great, great rest of your day. I know you guys are several hours behind us. And we're going forward now. I'm going to go now, catch up on my evening dose of the news. We're trying not to obsess over it, but to catch up on what's going on. And we're going to tune out. Love you. God bless you guys. And we'll talk again real soon by God's grace. Thank you so much. Take care. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Love you, everybody. God bless you.
All right. So it's over.
Yeah. That was pretty good.
You make it so.
Make it so easy.
Man, you're one of the best interviewers on the planet. Because it's conversational, you drop your nuggets, your wisdom. It's just an amazing experience every time we do.
We're trying, bro. We're trying just to help people through and stop. We don't want anybody to murder each other. You know, we don't want any crazy job going on. Is there a way you can you make it public, the live, or do I have to do that?
It's already
live.
It's public.
It's already public. No, I mean, like
share it to all your groups. They can just share it out to all your groups.
Okay, great, fantastic. I appreciate it. We may need to do this again, guys. We don't know how long we're going to be rocking for. This is intense.
This is the highlight of our day.
Well, I'm glad because I tell you what, I went out today just to go and look at the developments on our new building because they're still allowing construction to carry on for now. But there's conversations happening with the government saying that they think the problem is that the public transportation systems in the morning are jam-packed with construction workers because what they've reduced the public transportation, which means there's less seats, less room on trains, tubes, buses. And so now the place is people are pressed up against each other and it's mainly construction workers trying to get to work. And so they're thinking they may need to shut down construction as well because how else are these guys going to get to work? So I just went down there to see what the developments were and what we're just going at. The place just feels so strange, man. You know, you've been to London enough. You know how London is. London is just weird right now. So, you know, trying to make it through, guys, trying to make it. I just want to make sure I don't come out too fat because that, you know, I'm eating like a pregnant woman. And I need to behave myself.
That is the snacking is a problem. We got to figure it out. Right? We bought all this pasta and rice and we're eating it.
And then when we're going to the store, we're just buying like, yeah, let's have that.
Yeah. Are you guys on the toilet tissue?
No form of restraint. We're just grabbing all the dessert. We had the toilet paper issue, but Donna Maria, that girl, she went like an assassin, and she stopped us. We got enough to last us to the end of the year. We should be selling to it. I've got shares and dividends in toilet paper right now.
It's just great. Like you can't find toilet tissue anywhere.
Over there.
Nowhere.
Wow.
Somebody bought 12 years worth of toilet tissue off of Amazon.com.
They should be arrested. They should have their toilet paper seized.
And now people are selling rolls of toilet tissue for $25, and people are buying it.
The government is shutting that down. They're shutting it down. That's ridiculous.
That's great. That's crazy.
Same thing with hand sanitizer. Somebody bought up like thousands of jugs of sanitizer.
Yeah, that's what we're low on. We're very low on that over here at the moment. But you know, it's always, I don't know if you guys use this, but what Donna Maria's done is she's bought the one that turns the liquid through the nozzle. It turns it into foam, so it lasts forever. You know, that's been a great tip for us. But it's just strange. Like Sundays, just like last Sunday was the first Sunday we were in quarantine, and we pre-recorded this. For the first time, I was at home drinking coffee, watching the service, and we broadcasted it like it was live, so people could still comment and like and stuff. So everybody thought it was live, and I'm there watching the comments. It was such an interesting experience to have that happen on that day. And then I was able to spend the rest of the day with Gabriella, which was a great day. We went to a place we wanted to go for ages, a place so we're obsessed with eggs. So it's a place that sells specialist egg burgers and stuff. So we went up there, had a good time. But it's just strange reorientating yourself, you know, into a new routine, I think.
So that was one of the questions we had, like once everything's over, so officially you can now go back out. Will there be an issue with people reorienting themselves to go back to church the way they were prior to this pandemic? Because now, you know what, being home, watching it on a computer, this is comfortable. I don't have to get up, I don't have to fight through traffic. Have you guys thought about what impact it'll have once this is over?
Everything changes from here. Everything changes. However, what I know will happen, because of human nature, human beings are the only creature on planet Earth that are absolutely interdependent. If a whale is born, if a baby whale or shark is born, that thing can swim as soon as it comes out its mother's womb. A human being needs community to survive. By virtue of that, community is in our being. It's in our being. That's why God said it's not good for the man to be alone. And I think what's going to happen is once this is all over, the natural desire to be together is going to make the first 2 to 3 services jam freaking packed, like a Easter watch night, New Year's Eve, in black church watch night kind of just jam packed spillage. And people will, because they want to be together, there's going to be a craving for it online, because they'd have been overdosed on online. Now we want to get together. But whether that wears off and people then become lazy and then go back to their own old routines, when they go back to see their side chicks, and when they go back to, I don't know, being able to buy the weed and the drugs from the dude on the corner, because they can't do that right now because they might catch corona. Once they go back into their routine, then I think we by nature will lull. But the first couple of services, at least, I think are going to be jam-packed, because human nature wants to get in community.
Gotcha.
Makes sense?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Did you watch that documentary, by the way?
I did.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. It was like 20 minutes. I was doing the kitchen while I was watching it.
Cool.
And yeah, man, it's crazy. It's crazy.
I'm interested it was made in 2019 and how accurate it is describing what we're experiencing now.
Ooh, I need to see it. I need to see it.
Yeah.
And it will make you think twice the next time you go to your Chinese restaurant. You're going to be wondering what the heck kind of meat they're putting in that. Because in China, you remember this thing was all evolved from the wet markets in China, which is where they serve bat and snake and frog and rats and rodent. It's just crazy, man. Crazy. Well, guys, love you. Appreciate you. And I'm going to let you guys chill out and enjoy the rest of your day. Moving, I guess what you got planned for the rest of the day is going from the living room to the family room to the kitchen. That's your plan, right?
we have 3 more sessions.
Oh, wow.
We have another webinar.
We have 3 more webinars. So
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's gonna be a long night.
Do it, man. Love you. Appreciate it. Let's talk soon. Let's catch up real soon. Yeah.
Definitely. Tell Donna Marie we said hello.
Yes, please.
And
I'm gonna go find out how much of that wine she drank right now. I'm gonna go find out.
And that lobster.
Love you. Take care now. Take care. Bye-bye.